Congressman Byron Donalds from Florida to talk about some of those stories we were just mentioning at the top of the hour, including President Biden's potential climate crisis. Congressman, great to have you with us.
It's great to be back with you guys. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you.
So Americans, your constituents, Bianca and I, everyone is dealing with high gas prices, still $2 higher than they were when President Biden came into office, record inflation, and they want to do more of what's caused this. They're pushing this climate agenda. What do you expect to hear from the president tomorrow? And also, Bianca and I had a question, Congressman. We don't hear John Kerry's name being mentioned too much, our climate czar. So where's he at in all this?
Well, John Kerry's in hibernation, kind of that same basement Joe Biden was in during the presidential campaign. But look, I don't expect to hear much from Joe Biden because he never really has answers. He's not going to be clear and coherent. We already know that. And the real answers are a complete reversal of his economic and energy and environmental policies. They simply do not work. And so what's going to happen now, if he continues down this road, it's going to be much harder to move oil and natural gas through the country. It's going to make it harder to refine oil into gasoline for people to put in their cars. And they still want to go down this Green New Deal plan, even though right now in Europe, they're beginning to reverse course because they woke up and realized that it's easy to be green when somebody else is doing the drilling, but they don't want to buy oil and gas from Vladimir Putin anymore. So now they have to figure it out on their own terms. Listen, I'm not against green technology per se, but what I am against is cutting off our economic nose to spite our face. And following Joe Biden is America cutting off its nose to spite its face, and who suffers are poor and working families all through the United States.
And they're suffering right now. So while he's in Somerset, Massachusetts, talking about the climate tomorrow, it also seems that the left has really tried to push the narrative on abortion since the overturning of Roe v. Wade. We shared Kamala Harris comparing it to slavery yesterday. What do you make of that, Congressman, as we approach the midterms? It seems like climate and abortion are the two things they really think can rally Democrats because everything else is a disaster for them.
Well, first things first, it is disgusting to compare something to slavery. First of all, it diminishes how destructive slavery was to black people here in the United States. It was an awful institution. We are so glad that it's gone. And frankly, we're also glad that that was led by the Republican Party, the abolition of slavery. That's number one. Number two, the reason why they are so focused on Roe v. Wade is because they have nothing else to run on, folks. This is the only thing they have that might motivate their base. But the reality is that what the Supreme Court did is it actually unleashed the abortion argument for people to actually engage in the political process. What the Democrats want is just for some Supreme Court or some federal agency just to canonize their agenda so they don't actually have to vote for it and it doesn't change. They love that. What they don't like is democracy. What they don't like is a constitutional republic, because in a constitutional republic, something like abortion should be decided on in the political process, not by 9 people with black robes. Roe was wrong. We all know it's wrong. Even people on the left knew that it was wrong. The Alito decision, the Dobbs decision is the right thing for a country like ours. We must have political debate. And the gaslighting from Kamala Harris and the political left is insane. Let's have a real conversation about abortion, not this gaslighting that comes from the Democrats.
Yeah, and I don't know if this was her new speechwriter, her old speechwriter there, but they're actually in that statement accusing Clarence Thomas of being on board with slavery in a roundabout way. Whatever the point of that is. But I also wanted to ask you, Congressman, about how Speaker Nancy Pelosi and this criticism she and her husband are receiving for the multi-million-dollar computer chip stock purchase. The House, I think, is supposed to vote on this bill soon. What do you make of all this?
This stinks to high heaven. I mean, look, folks, this thing is not good. It smells bad. It is fishy. It doesn't look good, obviously, but what it really does, it calls into question the credibility of members of Congress across the board. Her answers that she's given on this are a joke. If Kevin McCarthy had done something like this, the Democrats will be screaming from sea to sea, talking about how there needed to be investigations of the Republican leader. That's what they will be calling for. But now there's nothing to be seen. Nobody has questions for Paul Pelosi. Nobody has questions for Hunter Biden, even though everybody with two eyes and a brain can clearly see that there is some level of information passed. Because if there's not some information moving around, I don't know what goes on in their house. I don't want to deem to know what's going on in their house. But this looks really, really bad, folks. There needs to be investigations.
It certainly does. Great to see you, Congressman Byron Donalds. Thanks for joining us. We'll talk to you soon.
Anytime.